I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the Common Council meeting on Monday, October 26th at 7 p.m. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley,
Abstain.
Mike Wright,
Present.
Brant Fuller, Joe Palmer, Megan Sheets,
Present.
Clarence Worthen,
Present.
Eric Woods.
Present.
Next on our agenda tonight are the minutes from the October 12th, 2020 regular meeting, and I would entertain a motion to pass these minutes.
I'll make the motion for you.
Accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Is there any questions or comments? Roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley,
Abstain.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods,
Aye.
Mike Wright.
Aye.
Okay, next up is public comments, and under public comments, we have Jason Forsythe with the street department that has some information for us tonight on the NVH fund.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I can't remember if I spoke with council about what we've been working on. Back when we were looking at CCMG several months ago, and we put our grant in, we recognized that one of the Washington Avenue project from Goder down to Mash Road was showing not in our motor vehicle highway funding. And didn't really know what that meant at the time, but started looking into it, and we had several areas in our city that we had not been getting MVH funding for quite some time. So we started looking at it, working with an engineering company, and I found out, got an email the other day, that we have 11.4 miles of roadway in our community that we haven't been getting MVH funding for a number of years. So we started looking into it, doing some paperwork. Had the mayor sign a form the other day that enabled me to send it off to NDOT. And for that 11.4 miles, for each mile, we'll get an additional $11,000 per mile for our NVH funding. And then we'll receive that additional $125,000 to $130,000 as we move forward every year. So it was kind of neat to see that happen. You hate to look back on things and see what you lost, but moving forward here, several of those areas like Garney Jenkins addition, the addition I live in, Meadowbrook addition, none of those amongst some other sections of roadway in town or in our MVH. So once this gets submitted to NDOT approves everything we've done, then we should start seeing some additional funding of about $130,000 a year towards our MVH. So kind of cool to be able to, everything going on, a lot of nasty things going on in our country and our city, and to get some news like that, we're going to see that it's definitely going to help our MVH, and so we're looking forward for that to happen. So just wanted to let you all know how that came about, what's going on with it. I couldn't remember if I talked to you about it in the past or not. Just want to bring that to you now. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate all your work on this. It's very important on the revenue side for MVH is something that it's very important on the revenue side for MVH is something that it's really going to be needed. And I appreciate the time that you took to do this. Does anybody else have anything for Jason on it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Under public comments, we have Andrew Bailey, but I believe he said he's here for the annexation public hearing. Next, we have Constantino Santos. Did you want to come up and speak to us?
Good afternoon, everybody. Introduce myself, I'm a Frankfurt alumni, moved back to Frankfurt, lived 6 years in Indianapolis, moved back, happy to be back home in Frankfurt where I grew up, so decided to get back involved here in the community. We're now starting with the meetings here, so I think I emailed Eddie about adding some, just moving to a new neighborhood that's being built on West Norris Way. And a lot of new houses there. It's about a house, so I'm pretty happy to be back in Frankfurt. And notice it's really dark. And a lot of the neighbors, well, the ones that have the houses there now, a lot of them leave their lights on. And I figured that it's part of the city and see if we can get some lights out in there. And that way it's not so dark. It's one of the questions I asked here. And hopefully have a follow-up. Thank you. That's all.
What is that address again?
West Norris Way. It's a new street by Krug Road by Green Meadows.
It's actually off of Freeman Street.
Where you turn onto Cruz Road behind
A nursing home.
it's kind of the back of the Blue Green schools, and I believe, and I have Mike Kelly here and also Chief Shoemaker, that's part of the county at this point. Is that correct?
It's not in the city of Frankfurt.
Yeah, it's not in the city
of
of
Frankfurt.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other question, but the lights I'm using is using the sewer from Frankfurt, so no water pump. So I figured I'd ask and see if it's part of the county. The realtor can give me the answer, so I figured I'd come out here and ask and see if it's part of the city. It's right outside of Freeman, so.
Right, it's right on the line.
Yeah, right on the line. So yeah. Okay.
Is that something, Mike, can you help him with, or if it's out in the county, in a subdivision, the lighting, is that anything that the utilities takes care of, or?
Are you talking about behind the Green Meadows?
Yes,
I believe that subdivision is in the city.
no.
It's not.
It's not in the city limits.
It's about 8 new houses there. The Justice Homes built, so it's pretty dark. So could use some lights there in the streets. I know there's some kids growing up there, so figured out some there's some safety there for kids at night. So a lot of people leave their lights on at night. They are paying the city for their utilities, so I figured it would be helpful. If people don't have to use their own light to light up the street. So I'm sure a lot of the members community there would benefit for that 2 light posts or so. Because there is some light posts down on Krug Road. So on Krug Road, there is a light post, but not down in that street. So.
I think maybe you could talk to Liz Stitzel in the area plan office for the county. I think she might be able to give you some good direction if you want to leave your phone number.
Okay, I'll follow up here with you afterwards.
Okay. Okay, that would be great. Because we do want to try to help you. We just
Right, yeah.
are limited.
Well, thank you for the question.
No, but I can give you some assistance in the fact that I don't know how out in the county subdivisions are established, but the town may have to have bond money. And that bond money helps through the process of making sure streetlights and stuff get put in a proper manner. The subdivider is responsible for putting the streetlights in. They make contact through the, I don't know, the area plan, since it's the area plan, and they may not have anything in their ordinances or in their rules because of being in the county, but maybe because they're within that jurisdiction of closeness to the city, that maybe they can get the subdivider to be a part of that if there's bond money that's been placed to develop the subdivision. That would be the big key. If not, then it's asking the subdivider the potential of putting streetlights in and making contact with the light plant to do that. The light plant will supply the electric wire, the line going from the light to the underground, if all your electricity is underground, to the main box. But the subdivider is responsible for everything else as far as the posts and the concrete that it has to be attached to.
We appreciate you coming back.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Feels good being small town. Got tired of the traffic in Indianapolis.
Thank you for coming back. That's all the public comments that we have for this evening. Right now, I would like to recess the council meeting and open the public hearing on ordinance 20-14, which is concerning the annexation of certain territory to the city of Frankfort. Nick Kyle is here tonight with Barnes and Thornburg, and he is going to lead the public hearing.
Good evening. I don't know how many people we have here who want to speak, but this is another step in the process in the annexation. You have to have a this is the opportunity for the public to come and speak to you about the annexation. It is not a question and answer session. There was provided in the notice to all the property owners a phone number, an email address if they had questions that we could get to them and answer. So this is an opportunity for you to hear from the public about the annexation. You will not take any official action on the pending ordinance tonight. By statute, you will take your final action on the ordinance between 30 and 60 days after tonight. So this is one more step in the process. And so with that, Mayor, I would turn it back to you and whoever is here that would like to speak to you, they can come up and speak. And if there are problems that anyone has with the stairs, we'll get a microphone down to you.
The only person that I have signed up for this evening is Andrew Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I represent about 40 landowners that are in the annexation area, or the potential annexation area, that are opposed to it. The reasons that they're opposed are multiple. One of them is we don't think that this is the right move for economic development in the area. We think that it's going to cause a lot of confusion as far as whose jurisdiction is under control, whether it's the city planning or the county planning. You know, I don't have a lot of things except for that there are a lot of people on the side of that intersection that are very upset about this. Not all of them could be here. Not all of them want to come here under the circumstances, but we could probably fill this place if I really wanted to rally the troops here. There's a couple of you that have reached out to me, the mayor. I really appreciate the comments that we've had. Joe Palmer's not here tonight. I'm kind of sad that most of you guys were at the outreach meetings, and when questions were asked that you guys could answer, I felt like you guys fell short on answering those questions. I signed up. If you'd like to hear some of those questions or explain some of the things that were done during those outreach meetings, feel free to call me. You know, like I said, there's a lot of people that are very, very at odds with that. And things that you guys have to keep in mind is you have no A1 zoning. You're essentially more than doubling the tillable acres that the city of Frankfort has. Right now, you have roughly 600 acres of tillable ground that is zoned a lot of different ways within the city limits. That's definitely a concern with those people. And I know that the mayor and you guys have taken steps to do the rural lifestyle, and we appreciate that. I still don't understand, and you guys don't have to answer it because it's not a question to answer, but many people don't understand why the Newcastle Road houses got left out, and you leave out the businesses there out at the interstate. You know, those are your two highest AV areas in that entire, and original annexed area. And it makes not a lot of sense why you would leave those out. When you look at the piece that Reedy has put together on this, the numbers are pretty hard to come by that this thing's gonna pay out in 2 years. And I can tell you for a fact that somebody coming to Frankfurt to develop, or Clinton County to develop that area, is gonna look at that funny map and question what's going on out there. The county has spent so much money on that area, and you guys don't only want to make the first dollar the second that somebody hooks onto that sewer, you want to make all the dollars. And I'm going to leave you with this one point, and I believe this, and you guys can not, but if it benefits the county, most of the time, it benefits Frankfurt. If it benefits Frankfurt, not always does it benefit the county. When you look at your Lowell taxes that you're taking away from the schools, the townships, and every taxable entity is a big loser on that. The biggest loser is the county. Who's footing the bill for the pipeline out there? And then when we sit there and we look at, I listen to Wilo, and we sit there and I hear, oh, the $25 million that we're spending to upgrade our water and sewer is not because of the I-65. And I believe that. I know that you guys, if we had another development like Frito Lake that used as much water as they do, you guys would have to upgrade. And then to say that and talk out of both sides of your mouth is pretty naive. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think a lot of you council members are just following the old administration of Mayor McBarnes' vision. And to be quite honest with you, I've seen the maps of what Mayor McBarnes wanted to do, and it was a hell of a lot more grander than this little sliver that at the minimum is 300 feet wide. You know, and there's going to be development out there. There's going to be development whether Frankfurt's out there or not. But I think that development would happen at a much quicker pace if that jurisdiction was the same out there and then you guys came in when it was developed. That's all I have tonight. I appreciate you guys listening. You guys have my contact information. Feel free to call me. I will answer your guys' call. Thank you, Mayor, for all the conversations that we've had in the past. And I wish Palmer was here because me and him are buddies, and we've been buddies, and we're going to be buddies after this. So, you know, there's not a lot of hard feelings. I just don't think you guys are making the right decision tonight or in the future for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? We can close the public.
Okay, is there anything else?
Nothing else.
Do you have anything else? Okay. At this time, 7:20, I'm going to close the public hearing and reopen the common council meeting. Next on the agenda is ordinance 20-14. And this is on second reading.
I can't hear anything.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 20.
I'll second.
Steve, yeah, to adopt. Ordinance 20-14 on second reading. Judy making the motion, Steve seconding concerns. Roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Mike Bright,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen, Eric Woods.
Ordinance 20-14 passes on the second reading. Next on the agenda is ordinance 20-15, and this is third reading, and this is the ordinance for appropriations and tax rates for the 2021 budget.
I'll move to pass ordinance 2015 on third and final reading.
Eric made the motion, Clarence seconded the motion. Is there any other questions or concerns?
Mike Bright,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Ordinance 20-15 passes on third reading, and Carol will need everyone to sign that ordinance tonight, and that will get sent in later this week as we by November.
Yeah, so 5 days after the.
5 days, okay.
So we'll upload the signed ordinance, and then we have the 5 days to submit on Gateway.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to ordinance 20-16, and it's the ordinance setting salaries and hourly wages for employees of the civil city of Frankfort, Indiana, and this is on the third reading.
I'll move to pass ordinance 2016 on third reading.
I'll second.
Eric made the motion, Megan seconded that. Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Mike Bright,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Ordinance 20-16 passes on third reading. Next on the agenda is ordinance 20-17, and it's an ordinance establishing the salaries of the elected officials of the city of Frankfort, Indiana, and this is on the third reading.
I'll make the motion. Pass ordinance 20-17 on the third and final reading.
I'll second.
Megan made the motion. I believe that was Monica with the second. Okay, roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Mike Bright,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Ordinance 20-17 passes on the third reading. Next on the agenda is ordinance 20-21, and this is on second reading. It's an ordinance restating and reestablishing fees for building permits and certificates of occupancy.
I move we pass ordinance 2021 on second reading.
I'll second.
Clarence made the motion, Eric seconded that. Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Mike Bright,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Ordinance 20-21 passes on second reading. Next on the agenda is old business, and Les Burkham, city attorney, will be speaking to us on State Road 28 project at Ivy Tech.
The city has received an acquisition packet from Indiana Department of Transportation to take part of the corner where the Ivy Tech campus is located at the interchange of State Road 28 and State Road 39 downtown in Frankfort. We received this, I think I received it around the 9th. I didn't get to look at it until the 12th. I've given complete copies of the packet to the Board of Works members for their review, and then over the weekend, I had sent out or prepared for the council members select portions of that fairly lengthy acquisition packet, which packet, by the way, includes a complete appraisal by an appraiser that's been hired by INDOT. The council members, I think, will recall that the city owns an undivided 1/2 interest of that corner, and the county owns the other undivided 1/2 interest. And then it's our understanding that those improvements that were made there in the form of memorials and signs and perhaps some of the landscaping were all constructed and placed there by Ivy Tech at Ivy Tech's expense. I think a great deal of that was paid for out of the donations from the public to see that accomplished. So I have been in touch with the building representative from Ivy Tech. He has a complete copy of this packet from NDOT. The last I heard from him, I think a week ago, was that he is working on a plan to relocate that signage and those improvements that are there. The Ivy Tech white sign that was there, they've already removed, Ivy Tech has. And so he will be back with me hopefully soon about what they're looking at and what the cost will be. Any the funds received from the sale of that property would go to the city and the county equally, and any damages that might be awarded if there is not an agreement as to the sale and purchase would likewise go to the city and county equally. And then we'd have to make some arrangement, I think, with Ivy Tech to compensate them for the reconstruction and replacement of those improvements. So the offer that was received was for 30 days, which expires by November 9th. I don't see that we will be in a position to make a decision by that time. And that is not the end of the story if that happens, because in most of these cases, you can still negotiate with the state or later accept their offer. It's just that the offer expires. If no agreement is reached, then the condemnation process starts. And the state would file a civil action in circuit court to acquire the property by eminent domain. We would file an appearance. We could file exceptions to an appraiser's report that would need to be filed with the court. And the court will have, prior to that time, appointed 3 appraisers. But anyway, if any of the council members want to see the appraisal itself, it is available in the city's office, in the clerk treasurer's office, and I have a copy. Board of Works members have copies. There is on this cost to cure, which is the component, I think it was about $36,000 to remove, replace, and reconstruct those improvements at another site on that property. That was based on an appraisal done by a company, and this is in the packet, called The Sign Company out of Indianapolis. And they have done a fairly thorough job of itemizing the components that go into that cost of cure, how they arrived at it, and what their recommendation is. So I told the Ivy Tech representative that is available to them as well. So that's where we are on it. The total offer that you saw in here, I believe, was $76,000 some odd dollars. That is the total for both the city and county. So if that were to be accepted, each entity would receive 1/2. The cost to cure component, that is the amount attributed to the removal, storage, and replacement of these improvements, appear to be $36,205. In talking to the acquisition representative from Cutler Fairman about the appraisal, I asked him about whether any parking spaces would be lost. And in the color aerial I provided to the council members, it appeared to me that the blue part is temporary right of way, and therefore none of those spaces would be lost. He wasn't sure that he agreed with that, and he thought maybe 3 parking spaces would be given up, and that his analysis of the appraisal does not include an award for damages for the loss of those 3 parking places. basis. So that's another issue that needs to be yet resolved. So I just wanted to bring this all to the attention of the council. If I could be interested in it, the community certainly has a vested interest in that whole site there. It was such an eyesore for decades, and now it's really the thing that people need to really see be changed. But I guess we'll just have to make some choices from there. Thank you.
Did anyone else have any business for this evening?
Under new business or old business? Yeah, just very briefly, I'd like to assure the council that in their mailboxes at the city building would be your United Way pledge form. If you haven't had a chance to retrieve that yet, please do so. And just a little consideration what you would like to do with United Way giving. But if you are turning in the forms, please put them in my mailbox. And by the end of the week, and then I'll tabulate what we're doing and report that back to United Way on behalf of Board of Works and the council. So thanks everyone for your consideration.
Thank you, Megan. Next on the agenda is new business, and I've asked the police chief, Scott Shoemaker, to present some information. I believe you have a copy of a letter in your packets, and then he's going to talk to the police department, like use of force, that type thing, that is addressed in that letter.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We received a letter from Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Physicians for Human Rights, and Human Rights First last week. One of the requests in the letter was for the mayor and the city council to review your police department's policies on use of force and crowd control. As the mayor and the city council, you are obligated to ensure your police department does not subject citizens to unnecessary or excessive force or arbitrary arrests. The collective groups within that letter asked for you to review the following standards that they had listed to make sure your department complies. They were enable peaceful assembly, avoid unnecessary or disproportionate restrictions on peaceful assembly, and minimize arrests and use of force in responding to peaceful protests. In terms of enabling peaceful assembly, it's our requirement that police protect the citizens' right to assemble. We have done, and I'll send that our policies to you electronically. It's several pages long. I'll send it to you electronically, and you can review them then on your phone or laptop. We've had two peaceful assemblies this year, one downtown and one at the police department. There were no use of force reports or arrests at either of these events. Use of force is being talked about around the country, so I will talk more about kind of locally what we do in terms of that letter. That letter is a lot of specifics towards the election. It would be the county sheriff's responsibility to ensure election. Security will provide a backup in court, of course, if we were needed somewhere. But in terms of use of force, it's defined as the application of the physical techniques or tactics, chemical agents, or weapons to another person. In terms of the chemical agents, our department does provide a spray that contains illegal resin, capsaicin, to each officer. We also have in our inventory that is not is locked in a secure room, is not used day to day, would be pepper balls and large OC canisters that would be used for larger crowds. And policy is number one, we use causing or about to cause violent activity or destruction to property. In terms of the weapons that they discuss in their letter, each officer carries a collapsible baton and a taser. Each time that any use of force happens, the officer is to submit a use of force report. And some of the things that we've been doing in the police department in the last year to work on de-escalation and also giving the officers different tools to subdue dangerous people. And one, we have to realize that even if we give an officer a less lethal item does not mean that somebody won't get hurt, seriously hurt, or even die. All of our tools that we call less lethal, the risk is very low, but it's still a possibility. In March, we outfitted every patrol car with a less lethal shotgun. Several years ago, we switched to the rifle after the active shooting situations throughout our country, whether in Colorado, whether in cinemas or schools. We switched and equipped every patrol officer probably five to 6 years ago with a rifle. And when we did that, we had shotguns later on, so officers we painted those orange to indicate it's less lethal and equipped it with a shell that contains a sock. And we would use that simply maybe suicidal, and we would use that in an effort to incapacitate that person without using lethal tools. In June 2020, we banned the use of carotid control techniques after the incident in Minnesota, compliance or control. I removed that option as a lethal option only. And so this to put the date real quick, January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019, officers submitted 26 use of force reports. We arrested 918 people. That's less than 3% of our arrests resulted in any kind of use of force. And most of those would probably be physical restraints of excessive force in 2019, and there have been 0 so far in 2020. So I submit that report to the council in response to the letter that's asking you to ensure, and I would back the data up to anybody that would want to see that. We monitor use of force reports as they come in quarterly, and then we'll do an annual review. So that's all I have, Mayor. I don't know if there's any questions, but I will send those policies out electronically.
Questions for Scott on this?
I just have one comment. My only comment, Chief, is with what's going on around the country, I am dead set against taking out any part of the use of force continuum. I think it's taking out things, then you move closer to lethal force, and taking out some of this stuff, because then that takes away the officer's choices of what he can do without going to lethal force. And I think you said we didn't have any complaints of lethal force in 2019, correct?
Yes.
I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. I think you're where you need to be.
I appreciate it. Contrary to popular belief, most people who are getting arrested get arrested and go with the process, and most cops aren't bad. So I think both sides of this thing get that out.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you taking care of that, researching that for us. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, next I have a letter here to the council, reference the Frankfurt Redevelopment Commission Annual Informative Presentation Notice. This is the first that I've seen this. Carol, do you know anything more about this?
It came in the mail today, and I don't know if Mickey can address it since it wasn't his department that does it, but I think that it's just a legal requirement that they have to send that out to any division that they deal with.
Okay, I think in the past, what has happened is that they presented this at the redevelopment commission, and then since they met right before council, they stayed for the council meetings. But this meeting is going to take place on Thursday, October 29th at 5:30 in the council chambers. And they will provide any information that we need to know on the finances for the redevelopment commission. So I don't know that it's required that you are there, but I would think you might want to consider being at that meeting. Now, will they present? You probably don't know if they'll present at the council eventually, or is this just our opportunity?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I know Condell from Reed was sending out the letters for the redevelopment commission, so I assume, like you said, there's a meeting that's gonna take place and they'll go over all the finances for the redevelopment. I don't know all the requirements at the meeting or with regard to the meeting.
So I would recommend probably that you go to this so that you can find out more on the redevelopment and their finances for this year and for next year. Also, I'm not sure who's on the golf committee, but we still need to get together. Eric, are you on that? Is that correct?
That's Frank.
Okay. We really do need to get something together and figure out what we're gonna do moving forward with Harborwood. I can try to get financials from them. I think we're looking at maybe trying to just extend the contract, so maybe.
Yes, there's language in the contract currently for an extension, but there's also language that the financial institution submitted. So that's probably a first step, and then get the call committee together.
Okay, did you meet with Jesse then?
Yes, we did. We had an informative meeting, and at that meeting, he was advised to get with the city executive regarding the contracts and any changes.
Okay, because I have not heard anything from him at this point. Okay, thank you. Also, I want to remind everyone that Carol does need your signature on the, is there 2 ordinances or 3?
Yes, 2.
So don't leave without signing the ordinances, so that we can get those submitted. Is there anything else for tonight's meeting? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming.